went thrifting at Goodwill a couple days ago for items to flip on eBay and Poshmark, so I'm gonna take you right on into Goodwill and bring you along on this thrift trip. I decided to go right into the shoe section, and at first I saw these Steve Madden sandals and kind of gave them a second look, but then realized I'm not really looking for sandals right now. I'm looking for more fall sort of items, so items that will hopefully flip pretty quickly just because they're for the current or very next season that people are shopping for. So I'm really looking for flats, loafers, boots, preferably with a chunkier sole or something pretty on trend. Those Sun and Stone flats, I didn't know that brand, but they just didn't look super high quality. And I did look it up, and they are sold at Macy's, Walmart, Amazon. These boots down here, they ended up being Jessica Simpson, a pretty outdated style, along with these open toe boots. These were definitely a more current style, but didn't look like anything necessarily worth looking into. And then of course, the biggest thing at the Goodwill racks versus the outlet is the prices count a lot more. I really am thorough with making sure that it'll be worth the flip if I pick it up at regular thrift store pricing. So it's not quite as easy of a pickup as the bins where you pay it by the pound and it's a much cheaper cost of goods. So I do feel like I get a lot less typically at racks. This mini Ralph Lauren backpack did catch my eye. I put it in my cart and looked into it. I think they had it priced at $12.99, but it looked like comps were $20, $30 for sold items, which if you think about the platform fee and everything else, it doesn't necessarily seem like the return would be there. So I did leave that behind eventually. This looked like a Dooney and Burke bag. I was hopeful that it was, but it was not. So this isn't a brand I've actually sold before, but comps on it when I looked it up at the thrift store weren't great anyways. This, please let me know if you guys know this brand. I think it's pronounced Bach here. It looked really high quality. Seeing the New York on the tag made me want to grab it and try it, or look into it a little bit more, but it ended up being very low sold comps. These boots could have fooled me. They looked just like Sorel. I think it's the Joan of Arc boots, but they ended up being a dupe. Let me know if you guys know this brand as well. It's called Jelly Beans, and they are made in Japan, which I thought could indicate that they were something a little bit higher quality, but I couldn't find much information on them. So please let me know if you know anything about that brand at all. These were a very sad Doc Marten fake. Thought they potentially could be real, but they were not. These Lucky Brand loafers were marked at $12.99. And I thought that was a little bit priced up for Lucky Brand shoes, but little did I know at that time that the green tag was the half off color at Goodwill. I didn't think about the half off color till like halfway into this trip for some reason. So there's a chance I would have grabbed those otherwise, but oh well. Decided to flip through the tops and see what I could find. Who What Wear is a Target brand, so I passed on that. A lot of these brands, if I don't know them, there's a really good chance I'll just skip it unless it's something that seems really nice or something worth looking into more. This Madewell sweater from fall 2018, so not super old or anything, but I did decide to pass on that. They had it marked at $13 and sold comps just weren't there for that. I think one of the new ones sold for like $60, which definitely would have been better, but for used, they were selling right around $20, $25. Lots of mall brands and brands that potentially could be good at the bins, but probably not for thrift store prices. This caught my eye. I think it's Barrick, and I looked into it more later, and it does seem like some of their vintage pieces can sell for quite a high price, so that's definitely a brand that could be worth the pickup. But I also was here at the tail end of the night. I think it was like 6:30 at this time, and the thrift stores closed at 8, so I didn't want to spend a ton of time looking into brands. I was kind of just trying to find some brands that I knew and items that I had a lot of confidence in. I did have luck recently selling a DKNY leather cardigan, or I think it was 100% leather, but it felt like the suede material. That flipped pretty well, but I do typically pass on that brand. Cabby is another brand. I don't think I've ever actually sold Cabby anything. I've seen that brand a bunch of times and have passed on it. I'm pretty positive every single time, so let me know if you like to sell that brand. Lots of mall brands sold at, Macy's, JCPenney, Sears, Target. Tord can be a good brand to pick up. It doesn't sell for much, so that's a brand I'll get at the Goodwill outlet. Divided, that's an H&M brand, fast fashion, not gonna sell for much. A lot of these items are good items to pick up if you're out thrifting for yourself, but not necessarily worth it to buy to flip online. I just always keep in mind that 20% that Poshmark takes, and then I don't even know what it is on eBay because it varies, I think, but it's still, there's always going to be a cut taken. So that is something to absolutely keep in mind, as well as any shipping costs, things like that. So it's not just what the price is at the thrift store and what the sale price is. There's some more factors and things to consider before picking up an item. As you can see, there's lots to flip through before you find anything. I'm sure you know that if you thrift, but it's just a lot of looking around, seeing what you can find. I did only end up leaving, I think, with, I want to say 2, maybe 3 items on this trip, but I still do enjoy going through thrift stores. You can cover a lot more ground, I think, than at the bins, just because everything is hung up. It's more organized. So sometimes it is refreshing to just take a look at the regular racks. Then I decided to go over to the pants. Pretty immediately saw these Pilcrow corduroy pants. They did have them priced at $13, so I passed. But one thing I really like to utilize at Goodwill is that they have the date on the price tag of when the item was put out onto the floor. I find that very helpful because if it is a brand new item that came out that day, a lot of times that helps me indicate that, okay, maybe not a lot of people have seen this item yet. It's still very new, very recent, so I might look into it more. Whereas if there's an item that I'm even considering looking more into, if I see that it's been out on the floor and the date is from like a month ago, I kind of just assume that a lot of other people who resell have already seen this item and nobody has taken it. So that's definitely not a foolproof method, but it does help me in the moment just quickly decide if I want to look into it more. This is definitely one of the categories that I am much more willing to pay up for, just because jeans can sell for a bit more on the resale market versus tops and even shoes. But jeans are definitely one of those items that people are willing to pay for and can be priced pretty high at retail value. So to flip them online can definitely be worth the return, even when you're paying up a bit. These tummy tuck jeans, I had never heard of this brand, but I figured it was similar to a Spanx. They did have stains on the front, so I didn't even look into it, but let me know if you've ever seen that brand in particular. These cut from the cloth jeans, they were new with tags and they were part of the half off pricing at Goodwill, so I did consider them for a second, but did ultimately decide to pass on them. Hudson can be a good brand, but the return probably wouldn't be there, priced at $20. Let me know down in the comments what some of your favorite denim brands are to find and to flip online. I really like to sell denim and probably need to do a little bit more research on some new denim brands that I could be on the lookout for, because I do have my tried and trues that I've sold a bunch, but I would like to add to my repertoire of denim brands to be on the lookout for. Good American is one of the denim brands that I love selling. These were priced at $25, so I did pass, but they can be a really good flip and can sell decently quickly a lot of the time. But these racks are stuffed full. It's kind of hard to flip through these with one hand. So sorry, it's a little wonky. More American Eagle, lots of Loft, some Levi's. These, I'm trying to remember what style they were. They were priced at $13. They are the high-rise boot cut, good size. Did pass on them at that price. Bowden, I've never sold their denim. Let me know if you've sold Bowden's denim before and how it does. Would you have picked up any of these that I'm passing on? This looked like a interesting brand. I had never heard of it before, but I did pass on it. If I had a ton of time, I probably would have looked more into some of these, but I did not. This pair of frame jeans, they were priced at $25, but they were half off, and I considered them for a second. They were the La Sylvie Slender Straight jeans, and the comps looked pretty good. I didn't even look at the comps at the thrift store. I didn't look at them until I got home, and I think if I had looked at them at the thrift store, I probably would have grabbed them, but it is a little tough for me to pick up brands that I find pretty regularly at the Goodwill outlet, so I do find myself just passing at the thrift store on items that I find pretty regularly. These Good American jeans I did end up putting in my cart and looking more into. They're priced at $20, so at least a little better than $25 like the last pair. So I didn't think that the return would be there though when I looked at the comps on eBay and Poshmark, just because with that platform fee taken out and anything shipping wise, I don't know, it would maybe would have been left with like a $10 profit, but I passed on them. This is a good little trick for overalls since they're kind of hard to get to the brand tag. When they're hung up like this, just look at the metal button and it'll tell you the brand name. Lots of Madewell priced at $30. I don't know what the thrift store is thinking. I think that could, you know, definitely be a good price if you're just looking for yourself. But if they priced Madewell at like $8, $9 at the thrift stores, they would all get, you know, snatched right up. And I think they can be a little stubborn pricing them way up like that at the thrift store when they get them for free and they don't have to go out and source them. They get dropped off there. So I do have my gripes with Goodwill, and I know sometimes it's a little hypocritical when I talk about the prices because of course I price, you know, at that price or higher online, but it is a little different at the thrift store. I think that they need to be a little bit more realistic about what people are willing to pay, and a lot of people who do go thrifting are resellers and people who are going to flip them online, so they would sell probably a lot more and make more money if they just price down a tiny bit, especially knowing a ton of this will end up at the Goodwill outlet and they will not make a profit on it. These were Adriana Goldschmied and Anthropologie jeans. I'd never seen that collaboration before. I don't know, let me know, is Adriana Goldschmied sold at Anthropologie? I had never known that if they are. But those are priced at $15. I could have looked into them. I decided not to. Then I went over to the hoodies and sweatshirts just to see what I can find. I feel like most of the time I'm on the lookout for more novelty type sweatshirts or brands like Aviator Nation, Mother, something that'll flip for a pretty good price when it comes to the brand, because otherwise, it's not necessarily a category that will sell for much, and I don't necessarily want to spend $8 to $15 for it to sell for $20, $25, which a lot of these would flip in that price range. over to jackets. I was trying to find some good puffers or something a little more fall appropriate. And this vest, this puffer vest, I actually did look at it for a second. I wore something very similar to this to a Barbie Halloween party last year where I was Snow Bunny Barbie, but the one I found was white, and I wish I had found that pink one because it is perfect. This Adidas track jacket, zip up, colorful, retro jacket, I put in my cart and just look into it more. It was priced at $15, but I could tell it was new to the floor. It was only like a couple days old. And I don't typically pick up Adidas unless it's a collaboration piece, but that one really caught my attention and I did decide to look into it in case it was something a little bit more special. Nothing too exciting. I did actually end up getting an Anthropologie shacket in the more heavy-duty trench coaty section, but I didn't film that because it was so hard to flip through it with one hand. So that I will pop up on the screen. This Madewell hat was priced at $20 and it was priced higher than it was selling for online in most cases, so I definitely passed on that. Did decide to look through the hats though and just see what I could find. This is a little random note, but anytime you see the tag flipped up like this, 9.5 times out of 10 it is Gap. So I don't even almost ever bother flipping it down, I just assume it's Gap. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video.